Welcome to 10 Minute Magic, a bi-weekly format covering news in the world of Magic the Gathering in 10 minutes or less. I am Joseph Dunlap.
And I'm Joe Butcher. This is what's been going on in Magic the Gathering this week. The banned and restricted list update came out on the 26th of this month, and to everybody's surprise, there was no changes to any card of any format. This would suggest that Wizards is happy with the current state of Modern, Vintage, Legacy, and Pauper. Online discussions prior to the update placed emphasis on a potential ban for Become Immense in Modern and Peregrine Drake in Pauper. The general consensus from social media seems to be that Wizards may be waiting to see the impact that the brand new enemy fast lands in Kaladesh, lands that enter untapped if you have 2 or more lands, will have on the Modern format before the next banned and restricted update to be released in January. Modern has recently come under fire for being heavily dominated by linear strategies such as Burn, Affinity, Storm, Infect, and other decks that consistently win the game within a few turns, and players have asked for an unbanning of one of the many blue cards that could potentially make a difference in this perceived imbalance. Many Pauper players have hoped for a ban of the oppressive Peregrine Drake, much like the Cloud Fairies ban earlier this year. Perhaps the most important ban of all, however, came with the new standard rotations as we say goodbye to the dominating Collected Company / Dromoka's Command and the once dominant Jace Vryn's Prodigy. This rotation comes on the heels of a new expansion release, which should shake things up across all formats.
Kaladesh pre-release weekend. Magic the Gathering's latest set, Kaladesh, releases this weekend. The set has been incredibly well received at last week's pre-release on September 24th through 25th, as a somewhat welcome return to a more colorful and celebratory world instead of the grim and dark world of Innistrad. Participants in the Kaladesh pre-release received tiny origami-style Thopters that could be assembled straight out of pre-release boxes. By the same token, local game stores were provided with cutouts that could be assembled into various flying ships and Thopters to decorate for the pre-release weekend. Kaladesh as a whole was a top-down design based around the Inventors Fair, and Wizards of the Coast wants players to feel like inventors as they design their decks. The notable mechanic in Kaladesh is Energy, otherwise known as the mysterious Mechanic E that Marlowe referred to as a mechanic he originally designed for the original Mirrodin block, and has waited for the opportune time to unveil it. Various cards in Kaladesh provide both a way to gain and spend energy counters to gain either gradual or game-winning advantages.
Changes to the 2017 Magic Online Championship Series. The 2016 Mocs is now officially at a close, and with it comes an update from Wizards of the Coast. The Mocs will be changed from a monthly event to bi-monthly, one for limited and one for constructed. Each event will be an 8-round Swiss tournament regardless of player numbers, and will have no top 8. Prizes will be awarded based on record, as well as invitations to the next Mocs playoff being given to anybody who finishes with 6 or more match wins. Platinum players will no longer receive invitation to the Mocs playoffs, as it was fed back that their status marginalized their role in the Mocs. Pro player club members will still continue to receive monthly qualifying point grants, which can still be used to join the monthly Mocs event. However, the changes mean that all playoff contenders will have to win to earn a seat. Finally, as touched on briefly by the last podcast and changes to Worlds, the Mocs champion will not be invited to Worlds as of 2018, and the same will apply to the World Champion being invited to the Mocs. This means that the World Champion, Brian Braun-Duin, will be the last World Champion to be automatically invited to the Mocs before the changes totally come into effect. The logic behind this is promotion of the 2 tournaments is shifting to be more independent from one another. Even when these changes will be made, the Mocs winner will still receive automatic Platinum Pro status. Alongside this, most Magic Online Championship qualifications will still be invitations to a Pro Tour and Pro Tour Challenge.
I wanted to take a moment to clarify an inaccuracy in reference to last episode's story on the World Championship changes. Brian Braun-Duin did not take issue with the removal of the World Champion and the GP Master qualification slots. Rather, he asserted that the GP Master slot had the potential to be as good a player as any, as evidenced by his commanding finish. Apologies to BBD for the error, and thanks for helping us set the record straight. Wizards of the Coast to bring out new cardstock. Beginning with Kaladesh, Japanese language cards will be printed on a brand new, high-quality, 100% recyclable paper that has slightly different properties. The new cardstock may come across as slightly stiffer than a normal card, and a slightly different fluorescence under UV lighting. While it doesn't change the value of the cards, it shows a step in the right direction for a company that prints on a huge amount of paper and card each year. Wizards of the Coast has stated that while cards shouldn't be noticeably different, they have made it abundantly clear that if players in tournaments are found to be abusing this change, via taking note of which cards in a given deck are made out of the new cardstock to gain an advantage, penalties will still be given out based upon the discretion of the head judge.
Luis Scott-Vargas joins the coverage team full-time. Luis Scott-Vargas has been revealed to not be a part of the competitive scene during this 2016 to 2017 season, but will be focusing entirely on becoming a member of the coverage team. We would like to congratulate Luis on his decision, as his knowledge will be irreplaceable even amongst the current experts, and we wish him all the best in his endeavour. Articles of the week. To keep or not to keep is the first article this week. Everything you need to know about mulligans in Magic the Gathering by Kerry Meyerhoff is a discussion aimed at the concept of mulligans and the effects that may have on a game, especially when you have ones that swing largely positively or negatively, as well as talking about mathematics.
Our next article is New Magic Players, Everything You Need to Know About Getting Into Magic the Gathering by Claire Stevenson. It provides an in-depth explanation of beginning to play Magic the Gathering for the first time. Beginning right at wanting to learn it all the way through your first FNM and deck building experience, Claire provides a stimulating read for new players.
Thirdly, in our article section is 6 Things to Expect After Kaladesh is Released by Joseph Dunlap. This article looks at what we can hope or expect to happen to both Standard and the rest of the constructed formats, seeking to explain some of the effects as well as how it will then impact the rest of the format due to the cards. In our comment read-up, we have a comment saying, Thoughtseize was a £55 card before its reprint. During its run in Standard, it reached £9. Reprinting some staples in Standard is a good thing. It just has to be done in the right way. Standard usually becomes expensive not because of reprint, but because of power imbalance. Jace Vryn's Prodigy was insane with fetch lands and the Delve mechanic, but after those cards rotated, it hardly saw any play and dropped in price.
I actually replied to this comment as the commenter made some good points, but I think he missed the point of my section on reprints. Theros Thoughtseize was a mistake by Morrow's own admission. Its reprint succeeded in the initial goal of driving down the price of a heavily played modern card, but it warped Standard for 2 straight years. I agree that the power level of a reprint should not be such as it dominates the format, but Thoughtseize was reprinted in the same set that brought us a year of Mono Black Devotion. The following year, Thoughtseize was cast alongside Siege Rhino. Our final article this week is the Combos of Kaladesh, 5 great combos using Kaladesh cards by the Manaleak.com writing team. I helped organize this collaboration, which featured contributions from 4 different Manaleak writers. The theme of the article was combos or card combinations involving new Kaladesh cards that we were excited to play in our favorite format or archetype. George Moston started off by highlighting an infinite Saheeli Ray artifact combo deck in Modern. Kerry Meyerhoff demonstrated a Modern combo that allowed Madcap Experiment to find an 8/8 beat stick without taking any damage. Michael Glover looked for ways to abuse Aetherworks Marvel in Standard. My own contribution focused on Eldrazi Displacer's position in Standard, thanks to some new cards in Kaladesh. Finally, George Moston contributed another combo at the end of the article, of using Paradoxical Outcome in Modern and Standard combo decks. In the comments, Christopher Frankstad wrote, No mention to the Ever After combo? Step 1, Verdurous Gearhulk, Marionette Master, and Metalwork Colossus, all in the graveyard. Step 2, cast Ever After targeting Verdurous Gearhulk and Marionette Master. Marionette Master fabricates 3 servos, and Gearhulk places all 4 +1/+1 counters on the Master. Step 3, stack 2 activations of Metalwork Colossus from the graveyard, sacrificing the servos and Gearhulk, which will deal 20 damage to your opponent.
Thank you very much for listening to this week's podcast. If we missed anything you wanted to hear more about, dive deeper, or want us to know how much you enjoy the show, then leave us a comment on social media or find the text form of this episode on manaleak.com/mtgUK, and we will endeavour to respond to you all. You can find Joseph on Twitter
at Joseph_Dunlap
and myself at Darth_Mulligan.
Darth Mulligan.
Yes, Darth Mulligan. Until next time, bye-bye.